The archive opens in 1975. The National Academy of Sciences called one plant, a supermarket on a single stalk. 5 foods from one organism. More protein than soy. It fertilizes itself while feeding you. 50 years later, you've never heard its name. The fertilizer industry is worth $200 billion a year. The global seed market, another $63 billion. And this plant threatens both. It doesn't need their fertilizer. It doesn't need their seeds. It creates its own nitrogen. It reseeds itself. It feeds families for generations. One path creates revenue. One path creates independence. You can guess which one they chose. The archive never closes. This is the winged bean. Scientists call it Sophocarpus tetragonolobus. But what it really is the complete crop they buried. In the next 17 minutes, you'll understand why this plant was called one of the best-kept secrets of the plant kingdom, why it disappeared from every agricultural program after 1975, and exactly how to grow it. Wherever you live, the archive never closes. Let me show you what you're paying for, that this plant gives away for free. First, fertilizer. The average American gardener spends $247 a year on fertilizer. The winged bean creates its own nitrogen, pulls it straight from the air. You pay nothing. Second, protein. You're buying beans, buying meat, buying supplements. Winged bean seeds contain 35 to 40% protein. That's higher than soybeans, higher than most legumes on the market. And here's what they don't tell you. You can eat the seeds, the leaves, the flowers, the pods, and the tubers. 5 foods, one plant. Third, supply chain dependence. Every time you buy seeds, you're dependent on someone else's timeline, someone else's supply, someone else's profit margin. The winged bean produces its own seeds. It can reseed itself year after year. You plant it once, and it keeps giving. So here's the question. If this plant is so valuable, why have you never heard of it? Why isn't it in every seed catalog, every agricultural program, every backyard garden? That's exactly what we're going to find out. In 1975, the National Academy of Sciences published a report. The title, The Winged Bean, a High-Protein Crop for the Tropics. Inside that report, they made a remarkable claim. The winged bean may be the tropical world's answer to the soybean. Perhaps even more valuable because every part of it is edible. They called it one species supermarket. They recommended establishing research stations, growing programs, distribution networks. And for a few years, it happened. The Philippines started trials. Papua New Guinea expanded cultivation. African agricultural programs began testing it. Then something strange happened. The funding dried up. The research stations closed. The programs just stopped. No scandal. No failure, no disease outbreak, just silence. A plant that scientists called one of the best-kept secrets of the plant kingdom became an actual secret again, buried, forgotten, erased from the conversation. To understand why, you have to follow the money. Here's the part they really do not want you to know. The modern agricultural system is built on one principle: dependence. You buy seeds, you buy fertilizer, you buy pesticides, every year, forever. That's the model. That's how the money flows. Now consider the winged bean. It makes its own nitrogen. No fertilizer needed. It produces its own seeds. No annual purchases. It's naturally pest resistant. Minimal chemical intervention. Do you see the problem? This plant doesn't create customers. It creates independence. And independence doesn't generate revenue. Look at what gets funding. Roundup-ready soybeans, genetically modified to survive herbicide. Who benefits? The companies selling both the seeds and the herbicide. Patented varieties you legally cannot save and replant. Who benefits? The seed companies who force you to buy new every season. Now look at the winged bean. You can't patent a plant that's been cultivated for thousands of years. You can't sell fertilizer to a plant that makes its own. You can't create annual customers from a plant that reseeds itself. The winged bean isn't just a crop. It's a direct threat to the business model that dominates modern agriculture. And threats get buried. So why was it really shelved? Follow the economic logic. Reason 1, you can't patent it. It's been cultivated for thousands of years. It belongs to no one, which means no one can profit from controlling it. Reason 2, it reproduces freely. Unlike hybrid varieties designed to produce weak offspring, winged beans breed true. Save the seeds, plant them next year. No corporate middleman. Reason 3, it fixes nitrogen. Every winged bean plant is a tiny fertilizer factory. The more you grow, the less you need to buy. From a scientific perspective, the winged bean is extraordinary. From a profit perspective, it's a disaster. And in our current system, profit wins. But here's what they didn't count on. Let me show you exactly what this plant can do. Food number 1, the seeds. 35 to 40% protein. For comparison, soybeans are 36%. Chicken is 31%. You can roast them, grind them into flour, press them for oil. The oil profile is similar to soybean oil. Food number 2, the leaves. Young leaves are edible raw in salads. Mature leaves can be cooked like spinach. Protein content, 5 to 7%. That's higher than most leafy greens. Food number 3, the flowers. Yes, the flowers. Edible, slightly sweet, used in salads and as garnish throughout Southeast Asia. Some cultures steam them or add them to soups. Food number 4, the pods. This is what most people recognize, the distinctive four-winged shape. Pick them young, about 6 inches long, and they're tender. Stir-fry, steam, or eat raw. Texture similar to green beans, but more substantial. Now, one honest limitation. These pods don't store well. If you pick them fresh, use them within a day or two. Otherwise, blanch and freeze. The good news? If you're growing them, you'll have a continuous harvest for months. You won't need to store them. Food number 5, the tubers. This is the part most Westerners don't know about. Underground, the winged bean develops tuberous roots, 20% protein. For a root vegetable, that's exceptional. Taste? Somewhere between a potato and a yam, with a slightly nutty flavor. 5 distinct foods from one organism. Leaves you can harvest continuously. Flowers that bloom for months. Pods that keep coming. Seeds you can dry and store. Tubers you can dig at the end of the season. One plant. One planting. An entire food system. But we haven't talked about the most revolutionary part yet. Think of it this way. The plant has tiny helpers living in its roots. These helpers grab free fertilizer, straight from the air. You pay nothing. The soil gets richer every year. That's nitrogen fixation in simple terms. Here's the science behind it. Rhizobium bacteria form nodules on the roots. These bacteria take nitrogen from the atmosphere and convert it into a form the plant can use. The result? The winged bean doesn't just avoid depleting your soil, it actively enriches it. Grow winged beans this year, and next year's crop of anything else will grow better in that same spot. This is why traditional farmers in Southeast Asia rotated winged beans with other crops. They understood this science. before we called it science. The fertilizer industry is worth $200 billion a year. This plant threatens every dollar of it. The 1975 report wasn't a discovery, it was a rediscovery. Across the world, communities have known this plant's value for generations. In the Philippines, they call it sigarilyas. In Malaysia, kacang botol. In Sri Lanka, dambala. In Papua New Guinea, it's been cultivated for over 2,000 years. One 78-year-old viewer from the Philippines told us, "My grandparents said to plant this at all costs. They knew it would sustain generations." They didn't need a university report. They didn't need government funding. They knew. And in communities where industrial agriculture never fully penetrated, they never stopped growing it. Markets in Jakarta still sell fresh winged bean pods. Families in Myanmar still harvest the tubers. Villages in Papua New Guinea still treat it as a staple. The knowledge never died. It was just ignored by the systems that couldn't profit from it. And now, that knowledge is coming back. In your YouTube comments, in gardening forums, in permaculture, communities, people are finding the winged bean again. Not because a corporation is marketing it, not because a government program is pushing it, because people are sharing what they know with each other. The archive never closed. It just went underground. When colonial systems arrived, they brought a simple message: grow cash crops, grow monocultures, grow what we can sell. Traditional food systems were dismissed as primitive. Community crops were replaced with export commodities. The winged bean didn't fit the model. It fed families, but it didn't generate revenue for empire. So it was set aside. Now let me give you the identification brief. If you want to grow this plant, you need to know exactly what you're looking for. Growth habit: climbing vine. It will climb 10 to 15 feet if you give it support. Needs a trellis, fence, or pole. Leaves: trifoliate. 3 leaflets per stem. Deep green, slightly waxy texture. Flowers: beautiful, blue to purple, sometimes white. They're actually quite ornamental. Pods: this is the giveaway. 4 distinct wings running lengthwise. Rippled edges. Looks like nothing else in the legume family. Pick young pods at 6 inches for eating. Let them mature on the vine for seed saving. Tubers: you won't see these until you dig. They develop 4 to 5 months after planting. Brownish skin, white flesh inside. Safety note: all parts of the winged bean are safe to eat when properly prepared. Unlike some legumes, there are no significant toxicity concerns with standard cooking. Seeds need to be cooked before eating, just like any dried bean. Raw consumption is not recommended, but cooked, completely safe, completely nutritious. Now the question everyone asks: can I actually grow this? The answer is yes, but location matters. If you're in zones 9 through 11, that's Florida, South Texas, Southern California, Hawaii, you can direct sow after your last frost. Winged beans are tropical plants. They love heat. They love humidity. Zone 9 and warmer, you're golden. Zones 7 and 8, start seeds indoors, 4 to 6 weeks before your last frost. Or use a greenhouse. The plant needs a long growing season, 120 to 150 days for tuber development. Zones 6 and below, honestly, it's challenging. You'd need a heated greenhouse with supplemental lighting. Possible, but difficult. Where to get seeds? Baker Creek Rare Seeds carries them. Etsy has multiple sellers. Check your local Asian grocery. Some carry the dried seeds. And yes, those can be planted. Facebook gardening groups often have members willing to share. Timeline: germination, 10 to 14 days. First flowers, 45 to 60 days. First pods, 60 to 90 days. Days. Tuber harvest, 120 to 150 days. Growing tips. Provide strong support. These vines are vigorous. Full sun. At least 6 hours direct. Consistent moisture, but not waterlogged. Don't over-fertilize. The plant makes its own nitrogen. Too much nitrogen equals lots of leaves, fewer pods. This plant wasn't made invisible through suppression. It was made invisible through silence. But seeds exist. Knowledge exists. And now, you know. Every winged bean you grow is a vote. A vote against the system that told you to be dependent. A vote against the corporations that profit from your annual purchases. A vote against the forgetting. This isn't just gardening. This is reclamation. You're not just growing food. You're growing independence. You're not just planting seeds. You're planting a statement. For thousands of years, communities sustained themselves with this plant. For 50 years, the system tried to bury it. And now, here you are, watching this video, learning its name, planning to grow it. That's not an accident. That's the archive reopening. That's knowledge refusing to die. That's you, becoming part of the continuation. We are bringing back what they tried to erase, one garden at a time. The algorithm is watching this video right now. It's making a decision. Does this video reach 100 people or 100,000? That decision happens in the next 30 seconds. If this video helped you, if you learned something, if you're even thinking about growing a winged bean, hit the like button. It takes 1 second. Leave a comment. Tell me your growing zone. I read every single one. And if you want more forgotten plants, more buried knowledge, more ways to become independent, subscribe. Join this archive. Every interaction tells the algorithm, this matters. This knowledge should spread. You have that power. Right now, we're not a network. We're not backed by corporations. We're just people sharing what they don't want you to know. And that starts with you. In the next archive, a grain that reseeds itself year after year without replanting. It fed civilizations. And then it was replaced with varieties that force you to buy new seed every season. The pattern repeats. The knowledge survives. I'm not selling anything. I'm not funded by anyone. I'm just opening the archive. And you are the ones keeping it alive. The archive continues through you. The archive never closes.